now as they come in rolling across the city. We've got about just over half the polls have come in. The downtown is voting heavily for Miller, and the downtown still has a lot of votes to be counted, so it's very, very close.
Very, very close.
Come on, Jane.
It's election night in Toronto, the climax of the longest and nastiest mayoralty campaign in the city's history. David Miller began this race nearly 1 year ago with barely 4% popular support. He's given hundreds of speeches, shaken thousands of hands, and captured the imagination of an entire city. Now, it's all up to the voters.
It's time for the people of Toronto.
It's a city that we build together.
Mission of our money because he was friend of a friend of the mayor.
Now, where were you when the province started gutting the public school system?
This is Toronto, population 2.4 million. It's Canada's largest city and the economic hub of the nation.
A politician's stupid, you can call him dumb, but you can't call him a thief.
This
and corrupt.
is City Hall.
Now, I am not joking
and
about
this is the mayor.
I am asking for a legal opinion, and I will sue you for everything you can possibly lay your hands on, because I think this is...
It's a typical day at City Hall, where chaos reigns supreme.
He threatens everyone to sue everyone. Well, if you're going to do it, do it. Don't talk about it, Mr. Mayor.
And the inmates seem to have taken over at the asylum. Incompetence, corruption, and sleaze are the order of the day. Toronto is virtually paralyzed by a corrosive and dysfunctional political culture overseen by the colorful but unpredictable mayor, Mel Lastman.
You've never asked for anything. And you got what you deserve, so please sit down.
Mayor Lastman is exhausted and discredited and will soon retire, but not without a parting shot at his longtime political nemesis, Councillor David Miller.
Irresponsible. You will never be mayor of this city. This I can tell you right now, because you say stupid and dumb things.
Lastman is often considered a clown, but on this day, he's a sage. Virtually no one believes David Miller has any chance to become mayor.
David Miller is not yet a household name. Some people don't know what I stand for yet. Some people don't know why this election matters yet, which is precisely why we're here in January talking about an election in the middle of November. This election is about the future of that city, and it's about cleaning up our local government and cleaning up our local streets, to rid Toronto of the dirty streets and the dirty deals in City Hall.
The 2003 mayoralty race has begun. The stakes are enormous for the city Peter Ustinov once likened to New York, run by the Swiss. Toronto flounders in a downward spiral of urban decay, and its citizens are angry. David Miller hopes his campaign will capitalize on their anger. There are 43 names on the ballot, but only 4 are real contenders.
We truly live in the greatest city in the world.
John Nunziata cut his political teeth as a populist member of parliament.
It's clear, Mr. Speaker, that on the part of authority...
He's a tough campaigner and a dogged street fighter with national name recognition.
Wow!
Nunziata is counting on strong support from Toronto's large Italian community.
And that is the balance that you have to make sure that you don't just talk about the books.
John Tory is one of the nation's best connected political insiders. He's rich, powerful, and a consummate backroom operator. He's run national campaigns and counts prime ministers and premiers among his friends.
I'll take responsibility for that.
But the overwhelming favorite is Barbara Hall, a popular and progressive former mayor. Hall has support citywide, especially in the crucial downtown wards and among ethnic voters. Miller and Hall were once political allies and are now chasing the same voters. But Hall's name recognition and political machine give her a seemingly insurmountable lead.
I am ready to be your mayor.
Somebody, you need to finish your breakfast, sweetie.
A Harvard-educated lawyer, David Miller traded a Bay Street boardroom for the trenches of local politics.
That?
Yeah.
I mean...
Okay, Boo. What's 6 plus 9?
What, 18?
No.
As a local councillor, he's been unbeatable. But now he's ready to risk his political career and a year of his life to become mayor.
Well, now is my time. I believe that the next mayor of Toronto, that people are going to want somebody who's like me, that's progressive, stands up for his principles, and also that has an intimate understanding of civic government in Toronto.
The only child of a single mother, Miller developed his social conscience early as an impressionable primary school student.
And what I saw was that when the middle-class kids got in trouble, their parents were called. And when the poor kids got in trouble, the police were called. And it's always stuck with me. And I really believe that if we do it right, government is a great force of equality in society.
Miller is comfortable with the handshaking and baby kissing of ward politics. But to become mayor, he has to learn a whole new set of political skills.
Good. Now, we're going to be working with another image, which is a pointy nose, pointy hat, big pointy-eared elf. Think of it as coming out of different parts of your body, not just your mouth, right?
Right.
Johnson's expertise is to help a candidate find his voice. Miller will need his for the hundreds of speeches he'll give over the next 8 months.
Yes.
Now surround sound. Okay?
Everywhere?
You're speaking in front, to the side, behind, under, and above. And it doesn't matter how loudly you speak, it's just there.
Thank you very much, Staff Sergeant Huck, and everyone here for your warm welcome. And thank all of you for being here tonight to share together the 4th anniversary of the day, International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination.
How did that feel?
That felt great.
Right, and the actual intersection pointer is Rosemead.
Miller has entrusted his political future to friend and ally, Jill Marzetti.
Okay, thank you, bye.
Marzetti is a veteran campaigner and has a 3-0 record with David Miller.
Here's the kitchen.
But this race promises to be a long, uphill battle.
We're starting now and saying to him, you have to run an 8 or 9 month campaign, whereas in this situation you would normally be running only a 3-month campaign, essentially. So it's a lot of pressure to do that.
Whatever was in here was clean before.
It was a financial company?
I worry that, in fact, the pace will just, it's really a hard pace, that we were going to wear him out.
Marzetti is one of only 2 paid staffers on this bare-bones grassroots campaign. Most of the hard slogging is done by a growing team of dedicated volunteers. Money is tight, and it will cost over $1 million for Miller to mount a credible campaign. His rivals can count on large corporate donations. Miller's cash trickles in from individuals and labor unions.
So you want me just to call in and get it?
Miller's labor support and progressive politics are a two-edged sword. They provide him with a strong base of support, but his union credentials are a liability on Bay Street. Corporate Toronto could crush his hopes if he can't soften his image as a typical downtown lefty.
You talk about what's good for the city, what's good for business.
Well, what I've proposed is to have a mayor's annual report. So each year, the efficiency of city services and how we're dealing with our social challenges will be reported to you. I said something that made both of you scribble. It really made me nervous.
I would just not use the word social in anything. These are a social person. Affordable, great word. portable, you know, and that kind of stuff. All that.
So you don't think I should talk about nationalizing the...
No, national energy programs and national energy programs. So just unless you're prepared to give the corresponding figure that goes along with that as you're riding by your limousine, then don't use the word social or national energy program. What you're talking was building neighborhoods, giving people a stake in the community they live in, and providing the affordable housing that's part of that vision of building the neighborhood.
Right.
You're building bridges to neighborhoods, not to airports.
And I love that. I love that. Building bridges between neighborhoods and not to airports. That is fucking brilliant. I love that. That's great.
The airport is a small downtown island operation, but a major expansion, including a bridge to the mainland, is in the works. Miller views the expansion as yet another sleazy backroom deal, and he's decided to make it his campaign's centerpiece.
Had a fairly interesting few Sundays of going to more different kinds of churches over the past couple of months than I ever imagined I would. I mean, being an Anglican, you're used to sort of a certain kind of formal, you know, and there's an Anglican service is pretty standard.
David Miller is off to an evangelical church deep in the Toronto suburbs, where he's virtually unknown. It's here, in these ethnically diverse neighborhoods, where Miller must build his bridges and where the election will be won or lost.
In the name of Jesus, we have the victory. In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, we have the victory. When we stand in the name of Jesus,
At the campaign's midway point, Miller is caught in a tight two-way race for third place. The campaign is faltering, and many of Miller's former friends and allies worry that he and Barbara Hall will split the progressive vote and elect a right-winger. Miller faces intense pressure to withdraw in favor of the more electable Barbara Hall.
You know, I said in February I wasn't going to drop out because I really believe in what I stand for, and I still believe in that. I guess I could drop out tomorrow, technically, but
I'd rather you didn't.
I have no plans to do that.
For Miller, things go from bad to worse. The campaign takes a body blow as campaign manager Jill Marzetti is forced to step aside.
So who, just logistically, who's kind of running the ship of state?
Jane Carlott right now. The campaign's huge and relentless, and Jill needs a break, so she's taking a break.
Marzetti will not return to the campaign. By midsummer, David Miller and his volunteer army have crisscrossed the city. He's given dozens of speeches and shaken hundreds of hands. His strategy is to win this election one vote at a time, but time is starting to run out. As summer winds down, David Miller soldiers on, marching to the relentless beat of the campaign drums. But his task is enormous: to connect with Toronto's 1.2 million voters who hail from over 150 countries and speak 70 different languages. Cutting through the clutter is always tough, but in this, the year of SARS and the Great Blackout, the voters just aren't listening. At least not to David Miller.
break through. And of course, you know, Toronto has been SARS, and the Iraq War, and a blackout, and West Nile, and all these things that have kept the mayoral race off the front pages, so it makes it harder to get your message across and get known.
After weeks of floundering, things are starting to fall into place for David Miller. A crack ad agency is rebranding the campaign with an eye-catching new logo, the broom, symbolizing sweeping change. And there's new leadership. Miller's grassroots campaign goes professional, with the legendary John Laschinger at the helm. Laschinger may be the country's most successful political operator, but he's a conservative, and the decision sends shockwaves through the campaign's NDP ranks. In another twist, Laschinger hires outspoken union activist Andrea Addario, a novice, as campaign communications director.
I will appoint an integrity commissioner who will report directly to council.
Miller built his reputation as a corruption fighter. His new team decides to play this ace card and make sleazy backroom deals a key campaign issue.
I don't need to tell people what it's been like at City Hall over the past few years about the secrecy when it comes to big decisions, and that has resulted in spectacular disasters. Under a David Miller administration, influence peddlers and deal makers will not be slipping in through that back door. I will padlock that door to them, and they will come in the front door like everyone else. We have a radio ad. It's a little bit of fun. We'd like to play for you now.
Hi, I'm Jack Germain, lobbyist at Toil, Trouble, and Worthless. Listen, don't vote David Miller for mayor. He's a good man, but don't vote for him. That's because he'll put me and other lobbyists out of work.
The Don't Vote Miller ad is risky and could backfire, but Miller is still stuck in third place and forced to gamble.
David Miller for mayor. I got a condo in the Cayman Islands to pay for.
A couple things. I think your delivery was great. It's interesting that Vanessa pointed out to you that the radio ad saying "Don't vote for David Miller" is a risk. And David tells me that Ed turned up with a whole new slew of materials using that, which I hope are never going to see the light of day anywhere. So I think that
That's really funny.
it's funny. It has its utility. I would point out, this is not by way of I told you so, but I would point out that you did not get a huge yuck out of that ad. And that those of us who think that it's hilarious they smiled. You didn't get a big yuck out of it. Some of them didn't smile at all. They might, no, it wasn't a big, I was watching for it, right? It wasn't an overwhelming, that's
I was watching Barbara.
The Don't Vote for Miller posters are never unveiled, but Miller has made fighting corruption a key part of his platform. Laschinger's polling shows the issue resonates with voters.
You know, the research is clear that people think there is corruption. And even on the MFP, I mean, the majority of people think it's corrupt, not incompetence. I mean, so that's the only empirical evidence we have. And, you know, I think the league is going to be corruption. That'll be the...
Using that word. Should really focus on that.
The C word was used today for the first time in the campaign. I think that's great.
Let's keep the planes here at Pearson Airport. As mayor, David Miller will stop any expansion of the island airport. In fact, he's the only candidate who will. David Miller, for a clean city.
Airport expansion and political corruption have emerged as the campaign's big issues. Laschinger's numbers confirm it. Miller's creative team produces a hard-hitting television ad, but there's no money to air it. Miller's Brain Trust decides instead to gamble a borrowed $25,000 to bring American environmental activist Robert Kennedy Jr. to Toronto to endorse Miller on the airport issue.
Let's just go over to the side so we can get the still picture I asked him with just for a second. Yeah, don't push it. Thanks.
Kennedy's celebrity makes him a guaranteed media draw, especially since one day earlier, his cousin-in-law Arnold Schwarzenegger is elected governor of California.
He's told me that he's going to be the best environmental governor in the history of California.
just as David Miller has told me that he's going to be the best environmental mayor in the history of Toronto. So I'm very happy about both those developments.
Kennedy is a veteran of waterfront battles and warns that airport expansion will bring jets to the downtown waterfront.
And no matter what they tell you, and I've seen this happen 100 times before, no matter what they tell you now, no matter what assurances they give you today, I guarantee you that if you build it, they will come, and it will be jets.
The two of them are going to head over to the Island Airport when this is all done, go up in the helicopter, look at the waterfront, and then come back down in time for the fundraiser.
I noticed you're a whitewater paddler. Is that canoeing or kayaking? I'm a canoeist. Although rarely get the opportunity, unfortunately.
You coming with us?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Kennedy's on the phone.
Okay.
I watched him call Arnold Schwarzenegger this morning.
As expected, Kennedy's appearance receives wide media coverage and gives the campaign a huge lift.
I want to thank you for your support for David Miller. I'm going to urge you to get out there and fight and get other people to fight so that we can stop this airport from being constructed. And I'm going to tell you a story that we sometimes tell in political settings in the United States. And it's the story of a boy who runs into a pig and a chicken, and he said to the pig and the chicken, let's have some breakfast. And they said, okay, what do you want to have? And he said, let's have some bacon and eggs. And then the pig said, well, from the chicken, that's an involvement, but from me, it's a real commitment. And that's the kind of commitment that Dave Miller is going to need from all of you between now and November 10th. And I hope you get
I really appreciate being here. It was absolutely terrific. Couldn't have been better. Fantastic. So good luck. Good luck with you.
Chicken story. People already use that all over Canada.
No, that's a new one for us. So thank you. I'm going to use it all over Toronto now.
It's been an exhausting campaign, 10 months with more than 60 debates. It's clearly taking its toll on the frontrunner, Barbara Hall.
It was significantly reduced.
Hall is not a dynamic speaker compared with her more energetic opponents, who clearly revel in the debate's cut and thrust.
I frankly have not been around City Hall, and I don't know enough about the issue to sort of say that I would stop it.
You're lucky.
I think, yeah. I'll have my chance after the 10th, but
I'll be glad to have you on my team, John.
and you on mine. But in any event,
Hall is also increasingly dogged by accusations of illegal fundraising. Her campaign is beginning to unravel.
Friday night, it was the long weekend. Friday night, around 7 or 8 o'clock, I packed up a car full of work for the weekend and went north to a friend's cottage. I arrived around 1 or 2 in the morning and collapsed into bed, thinking that I would have a somewhat quiet weekend to get a whack of campaign writing done.
Well, I went downstairs and saw the headline. Everybody else was asleep in the house. I woke up quite early. Got the paper, saw the headline that said, Mayor's Race, a three-way race. I knew that was going to happen. We knew it would be Tory, me, and Hall. I had no idea that I was going to be so close to her in second place. And when I read the sub-headline that said, Miller vaults into second place behind Hall, I ran up the stairs. I don't remember running up the stairs, and I yelled at the top of my lungs, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. Which is not the best way to wake up a young family on a Saturday morning.
Was awakened by the phone at some ungodly hour. And I answered it groggily, and it was David Miller saying, read the Toronto Star! Read the Toronto Star! But I'm in the middle of nowhere. I can't get the Toronto Star. Just tell me what it says. So anyway, the universe shifted several angles, and I got in the car and hopped in the car and came back. So, not much of a weekend to win.
Wait, when we went around Etobicoke that day, we were in Etobicoke all day. It was unbelievable. It was like I was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Everybody knew me, and they were all voting for me.
Are they all afraid of you?
No, everybody knew me, and they were all voting for me. It was amazing.
Is that fine? He's not coming for a picture or anything like that. Okay, I just need to...
Miller's improved standing puts him in the glare of the media spotlight, where image means the difference between victory and defeat.
It's just now that we're getting closer to the end and he's becoming much more tighter race, we just want to make sure that everything is perfect, because he is. He's the youngest candidate, he's the best candidate, and he should be highlighting a lot of these things.
This is a little more kind of gamey, or guys and dolls. It's kind of a certain statement, and we'll have to see whether you want to make this kind of statement or not.
People have only nanoseconds to judge another person now. Harvard Business Review just came out with this. And so what you're wearing is incredibly important, whether people poo-poo this or not. It's very, very, very important.
Got a nice frame, so I can do nice things for you.
It took me a lot of years to grow this frame.
He's got this. It's really sleek here. Shows off his cute butt.
2 weeks after Robert Kennedy's endorsement, the payoff. Andrea Addario receives the results of a new independent poll.
That's number one.
Coming in at 2:30. These are the early results. He doesn't know yet. I'm going to get to him before he pressed him.
On these issues that are important to the vast majority of people in the city. So I give you my solemn...
For the first time in the campaign, David Miller is in first place. Barely. Now, it's going to get ugly.
How'd you feel when Andrea handed you that piece of paper?
Andrea told me a poll was coming out, and I was very nervous about it because I didn't know what the results would be, and you never know. Then, just before she handed me the piece of paper, the media started taking my photograph and focused all the TV cameras on me. I could feel that. So when I opened it, like, my gut said, there's going to be really good news in here. And I opened it, and there was damn good news. I mean, it just means I've got to work harder and harder and harder and harder. But I feel great. I want to go sprint to City Hall. And it's been a while since I sprinted.
Oh, that's going to be... that's the dog hair seat.
We also need to don't let people's ebullience amongst the volunteers and things go after Barbara Hall. Like, I don't think we should be saying things, negative about her, like her campaign's dead or she's dead or anything like that. I think we really, really take the high road now. It's worked the whole campaign. We get on even to a higher road, it'll really work. That's my gut feeling.
You're right.
Well, if it puts it in perspective, we've already got a call. We need more signs.
Oh gosh, my poor psyche.
Oh.
I gotta go see Jill.
Okay.
Miller is anxious to share the news with his wife, lawyer Jill Arthur.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Sir, you know you can't film inside?
No, I didn't.
Guys, talk to him privately. Thanks.
I said they're really going to intensify their negative attacks. We're going to see U.S.-style attacks, and I think that people in Toronto will see that.
Crazy style attacks. We should just, it doesn't matter it's U.S. or it's not U.S. It's...
I'm not perfect, Joe. I'm, doing my best, but they all nod.
As the campaign enters its final critical phase, David Miller is now the undisputed front runner, which makes him a prime target for dirty tricks.
What disquieted me was coming home at 11 o'clock at night and have somebody standing outside my house. There's always some sort of nonsense like that. In fact, people hate that kind of stuff. John Tory issued a press release saying I was a vampire sucking the lifeblood out of Toronto. And, the press caught up with me about it. And I happened to be eating in Kensington Market a piece of pizza that had garlic on it, standing in the sun. And I said, well, how many vampires do you know that eat garlic?
John Lashinger is concerned about Miller's slim lead over John Tory. He wants to use the impending televised debates to pry support from Barbara Hall.
We've got to make it easy for Hall's remaining supporters to come to us. And therefore, I don't want to ask her any tough questions. If we have to ask her a question, it should be a straight-up question. Barbara, you and I have been in this campaign for 10.5 months, and I know we're sick of hearing the same question, but people keep asking me, why do I want to be mayor? And I guess the question I'm asking you, Barbara, is why do you want to be mayor? Just give her a log ball.
How about this?
And she can't handle it. She'll kill herself.
Peter DiNolo, a Liberal, has joined the Conservative Lashinger and the left-wing Addario as part of Miller's Brain Trust. DiNolo's cool head will be needed in the coming days.
Talk about these segments that are just wide open debate. They're just going to go after me in those, right? Yeah.
Sure.
It's
so
radio, so the
5 segments where they're beating the crap out of me.
They say that they're going to moderate it, they're going to cut off mics, bullshit. They won't. It'll be people jumping in on you, etc. If it gets to be that, just let people interrupt. Just steps, rise above it.
Just shut up.
Levitate. Just let them.
The worst thing is a politician who sounds helpless trying to get the floor back and can't get it.
Yeah, appeal to the moderator rather than them. Don't, if they're all yakking,
Put your hand up.
don't speak to them. Say, Dave, I'd like to answer that, right? And then
You've all finished attacking it. The audience will know you're in the lead. And what you want to do is levitate. You want to rise above it. Act like a mayor.
The Island Airport is now clearly the election's defining issue. Robert Kennedy may have been right about jets on the downtown waterfront.
Peter DiNolo is trying to find this out. He heard that Robert Milton is planning to write to the Port Authority and say, if you build that bridge, I'm going to demand to reopen the tripartite agreement and service the Island Airport with jets.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How did this rumor start?
I don't know, but he was on his way to find out whether it was true, and if it was true, who's going to get a copy of the letter.
Well, that would cement the election, wouldn't it?
Miller decides to ratchet up the pressure. His hardball tactics cement his lead, but they infuriate his opponents.
Can I get you anything?
Some nerves.
Are you feeling nervous?
Oh, God, yeah.
Why are you lying in this campaign and saying that I support jets?
60 seconds, David.
If you are a man of integrity, you will say here and now, because you're promising to stop the construction of the bridge to the Island Airport, you will say here and now, if you're a man of integrity, that if you fail to do that, because it's a fundamental issue in this election campaign, if you fail to do it, you will resign. Why won't you say that?
In their neighborhood.
A candidate for mayor that doesn't stand by his word is worthless. Is worthless. If you're not prepared to stand by your word.
Talking to me about fiscal
yes,
responsibility?
I am. I'm talking to you, Mr. John Tory. You're just like the Tory government.
You ran to pick up the torch.
Exactly the same Tory government approach that we've seen.
You ran to pick up the torch of fiscal irresponsibility from Bob Rae a number of years ago. You ran for the NDP. You ran as a candidate for that party after they had doubled the debt of this province in 5 years. It was a new world record.
You're a very prominent person in the Tory party. I would have liked to have seen when they forced schools to charge user fees and when they totally gutted public transit in Toronto, I would have liked to have seen John Tory stand up then and say this is wrong. That was entertaining. I knew going in that their elbows would be sharp and pointed and, well actually I'm not a hockey player, I'm a rugby player, so I knew their studs would be sharpened and they'd be trying to run.
People asked her about the polls, and she said She's low in the polls because her supporters don't speak English.
Oh my God, that's incredibly condescending.
Yeah, and they're not on the radar screen in many respects, but she feels their energy. That's a direct quote. I'm sorry, I can't say it with a straight face.
John Nunziata said I diddle.
When Nunziata was screaming at you about resigning,
Yeah.
I just thought you were so cool. He was an inch from your face. If I were you, I might have punched him in the nose.
I didn't want to punch him, I wanted to spit in his eye. Hi, Juliet, it's David. They're Daddy, I mean, and attacked you.
Actually, it's David Miller.
No, I'm finished, sweetie. I love you. Everybody's laughing at me because I didn't say hi, Juliet, it's Daddy.
Oh my God!
Hi, Anza, how are you?
Listen, can I tell you, my campaign team voted for you.
Thank you for your campaign team.
You know, these wonderful guys here voted for you.
Hi, Dave Miller. Nice to meet you as well.
I'm not running for mayor, I'm running for city council in Ward 27 against Kyle Ray.
So have you thrown your support to any mayoral candidates?
I have, yes I have. But to be honest, I voted for a fringe candidate.
Okay.
Because, you know,
sympathy.
Out of sympathy, but I do have support for David Miller.
And I want everybody to give a big Elvis welcome to the next mayor of Toronto, Mr. David Miller, everybody!
I just want to thank everybody. The election's going great. Vote on Monday, and if you don't want a Tory and you want somebody progressive who understands human rights, it's me. So thanks. And I'm sure you want to hear from others, so I'll give it back, and have a great night. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Thanks.
I'll give you my number in a minute.
This is what can go wrong that hasn't happened already. Nothing. What do people like about you, the campaign? That you are upbeat, that you're smiling, that you're confident, that you're not afraid to tell the truth, that you're honest. You're not all packaged like these other guys, and that's what you got to really project tonight. And I know you will. And it's good to have a little bit of butterflies because you perform better.
I know how you're feeling, but I think once we step outside the doors, you've got to slip into the act. Like even just in makeup, you've got to slip into the act. When you step out onto the stage, wave to the audience, right? You're a rock star, right? Like
a lot of people there.
And your supporters are going to be looking for that, and your opponents are going to be looking to see whether you're feeling pummeled after last night. It's going to be really important to be up.
I'm viewing this as the start of Miller Mania.
So you've got to be really positive. And they're going to go at you desperately, I think, tonight, tooth and hammer and tong, whatever you want to call it, tooth and nail. And you've got to be Mr. Sunshine.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to... Ladies and gentlemen, out of respect to the audience at home, John Nunziata.
David, you just indicated that you would resign if you failed to keep a promise. One of the biggest promise you've made in this election campaign is that you would stop the construction of the bridge to the island airport. I have a pledge here for you to sign. I, David Miller, will resign as mayor if I fail to keep my promise to stop the construction of the bridge to the island airport.
One of the interesting things about politics is John Nunziata's made his career on stunts. I believe in democracy. When you're an elected official, you put yourself before the people every time. That's what all David.
Miller handily parries Nunziata's crude stunt, but John Tory lands a roundhouse punch.
David, the fact of the matter is the police can't keep up, and I don't know why your plans don't contemplate one additional officer going onto the streets of this city when people are being shot, gangs are out of control, say the police. We need those police resources. You have not put it in your plan, and you won't put it in your plan.
You know what?
That's about fundamental choices. You won't make that choice. I will. If you had a choice as to who would pay for it, you'd stick it to the taxpayers.
All right, Council one.
So what do you think? How did that go?
Oh, I think it was okay.
Well, first of all, just surviving these things in your position is great. Second of all, That's since I got. Anyway.
Boy, I'm losing my voice though. Holy moly.
Tory capitalizes on a controversial police union endorsement to attack Miller. The timing couldn't be worse, as tabloid headlines scream that Toronto is in the grip of a violent crime wave.
I told John Tory in the debate that was false. I've never supported cutting the police budget, nor would I. I've supported hiring 411 police officers over the past 6 years. That makes me a bit nervous, because if he is surging, it could be a little bit to do with the crime stuff. Everything I know is people who are going to vote for him anyway are really, really going to vote for him now.
Tory's crime strategy is clearly hurting Miller, and now he has to put out yet another fire while mainstreeting with Canada's literary giants.
Miller is the only one who's had a consistent, thought-out policy on the arts that's on his website.
Only a white middle-aged man can be a mayor? This is what you're saying.
It's a little bit of humor, you know.
It's not humorous. It's insulting and it's racist.
I don't agree with you.
It's racist, Mr. Miller.
The offending literature is one in a series of edgy and irreverent brochures crafted by the campaign's ad agency. In multicultural Toronto, a racism accusation could be a fatal blow.
The hope is, the goal is, that the questions will be short and the answers will be short. Like, keep, 40 seconds in mind, 35, 40 seconds.
For your official response
for your
to
response to the question. But then, when you get in the debate part, it's up to you how you want to handle yourself then.
Another minute passed, and then yet another minute passed, quickly passed. Okay?
Go get them for you, but also want to fix your tie.
Oh, I'm done it up.
No,
No, I haven't done it up.
I know, but it's also skewed.
David, you talk about understanding the diversity of our city, but over the last few days, people have asked me, how could anyone be so insensitive? You ran this ad with the line, looks like a mayor. Does this mean you have to be a tall, blonde, Anglo-Saxon man to be mayor? What message does this send, David?
You know what message that sends, Barbara? That sends a message that I happen to be a tall, blonde man. Can I go somewhere? I'm so angry. Yeah, let's go. That was so despicable. And
I think you can let
It's a desperate attack by a one-time friend and ally.
It is despicable. I think it's just fine to say that. And desperate.
That's all I'm going to say.
I would say desperate.
I wouldn't use the word despicable.
Why? It is.
I think it's more desperate. Despicable focuses on the act and the ad. It doesn't focus on Barbara.
Barbara Hall knows my record on immigration issues. I wouldn't have thought these comments worthy of her, but I guess I'm wrong.
She knows my record on diversity issues and immigration issues.
Yeah. Okay. So when you get that question, I think you can summon your sorrow and your anger. But the rest of the questions, I think it's like, well, I'm not going to script you.
I really thought that was beneath Barbara Hall. Yes. And the past 2 weeks, since the other candidates have known my campaign has momentum, they've been saying the most unbelievable things about me.
Well, it may give people...
Let's tell our people that Barbara Hall wants John Tory to be mayor.
And it may give people that was thinking of coming over publicly the excuse, right?
Miller desperately needs support from voters abandoning Barbara Hall's collapsing campaign if he's to prevail over a surging John Tory. In the final weeks of the campaign, Miller has been battered by debates, hecklers, and dirty tricks.
Anyway, now David, Brian Topp has another more serious gift that, as a non-NDPer, I don't understand. But I will let him explain it.
It said, when you throw a rock, Dear David, November 6, 2003, from Shirley Douglas. Dear David, it said, when you throw a rock into a pack of wolves and you hear a yelp, you've hit something. You've hit something. Congratulations on running a terrific campaign. My father used to say, there is no use saying it can't be done. It can be done if we have the political will. If you have the will, we are all behind you.
You have the will.
You have the will. We are all behind you. He would be if he were here.
Douglas's words of support mean a lot to Miller. Her father, Tommy Douglas, is his political hero.
Like, who'd have thunk it? It's been unbelievable. We can't get cocky. I mean, there are lots of opportunities to screw up left, but I have to say, John Lassenger said to me a few days ago, he took me aside very quietly in his house and said, it's looking really good, only you can screw it up now.
Campaigns are long. This one started January the 8th. That was so long ago that my son Simon was 5 then. The only thing he thought about was playing soccer. He's now 6, and I came down for breakfast the other day, and he was playing the violin. Which was tremendous. And those are the changes the city's been through, too. I think there is a sense in the city of Toronto of renewed hope. And I believe people believe again in the possibilities that we have together to remake our city.
Miller can truly feel the momentum behind his campaign. There's a palpable energy in the city that some are calling Miller Mania.
We need to talk to the candidate about this as well, but there's focus in the next 4 days, I think, is really important, and we can't be tripping up, and the scrutiny is going to be intense, and I think it's going to be really clear that, people are looking for him to make a mistake. So what I'm thinking is we're going to have a suite for him, right, and for the campaign team to be watching returns at the Radisson. And Flash thinks that should be small group. I'd like you to be there to help steady and with speech prep. That's going to be particularly important if we lose. And Peter has a steadying influence.
Believe it or not.
Holy shit.
You know what it is? It's that we know that if you did the communications for Chrétien all those years, for a fuck up like that. That's right.
I just got to make him say it.
And I think...
In this area, Tory's got some big advantages with what's happened last week. I mean, it's been very lucky that his call for 400 police officers has coincided with 5, you say, homicides in the city. But I mean, let's keep it in check. Let's keep it in check.
Hello? Hi, Paul. I'm good. I'm in David Miller's boudoir.
That's pretty funny.
Thanks. Bye. Tory's people, presumably Tory's people, slapped NDP signs all over your lawn signs, NDP stickers all over your lawn signs overnight.
Assholes.
Yeah. So Paul called a buddy of his over in the Tory campaign and said, thanks for the stickers. Nice to see you. Got nothing better to do with your time today. And they've dispatched our people to be peeling them off. But it's not a good use of resources.
Well, I don't think we should bother peeling them off.
And it's just really important to be disciplined today. We shouldn't be bitching about Barbara or the other candidates.
I'm not going to bitch about anything.
Okay.
Was there anything bad in the papers today?
No, papers are good. And I also expect further pressure on you from CFTO today because of the decision we made. So if you could just be really firm with them when we go in there and tell them deal with the campaign. They're additionally angry now because they called me at 10:30 last night and wanted to send a camera out here to get shots of you climbing into bed, and I said no way.
Oh, come on.
I'm serious. We had some fun imagining. Bruce was conjuring images of John Tory in a sort of Thurston Howell smoking jacket and ascot, crawling into bed. Do you think I'll win tomorrow, lovey? I need your advice.
Okay.
Working on the victory speech.
Yes.
Seriously, what nice thing can I say about John Nunziata?
John brought a passion
and a set of new cheap political stunts, the likes of which have never been seen. The race. Okay. Let us go vote.
26. Number 26 on the
Andrea. It is an amazing thing when you get to sign right there beside your name. David Miller, number 26 on the ballot. Terrific. Thanks so much. It's terrific. Thank you. Bye. Thanks a lot. Can you stay there for a second? Sure. Can you shake my hand again?
Oh, okay, sure.
When we opened this office on the day celebration of Greek independence, which happened in 1821, when we opened this office at 1821 Danforth Avenue, who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought it? You're all doing incredible work, but today every single second counts. And I just want to say, on behalf of Jill and I want to say thank you to everybody here from the bottom of my heart. It's been magical, absolutely magical. So thank you, and around 8:45 or so, we're going to have a hell of a party.
Since this race began, David Miller has risen from barely 4% to 43%, an incredible feat. But John Tory's progress mirrors that of Miller's. And this race isn't over yet.
What can I do? We did everything humanly possible. No, you guys ran a great campaign. I was just me. So that's...
Cameras are not coming into the place where we're watching the returns.
The Miller team refines its media strategy and works on 2 speeches, one for victory, the other for defeat.
Across the city. And then you can just... 10 months ago, we stood here together and dared to dream about tonight, about the future of this great city.
Tonight, the people of Toronto have voted to take back their city.
All right.
Good job, Billy.
Let the applause and cheers go on for a while.
You put that in?
I put that in brackets. I'll take it out before we finally format it. But I want him to know that that line is going to be national news.
Less than 100 feet away, Miller supporters gather in the very same spot where this all began nearly 1 year earlier.
I love the notion of a broom, of a big honkin' broom, which we have, because it's been the symbol of your campaign. If it was good enough to be the symbol of your campaign, the symbol of sweeping things out, this will be a photo that'll be on newspapers and newspapers across the country, holding up a huge broom. It's a powerful moment.
A real mayor doesn't need a broom.
Okay.
He is the broom.
I think he's right.
City TV and Cable Post 24. The polls have closed.
Now, there's nothing left to do but wait and hope.
This is City Vote Toronto.
After 11 months of struggle, and thanks to the marvels of modern technology, it's all over in 14 minutes.
14 minutes after 8 o'clock this evening, City TV declares David Miller the new mayor of the city of Toronto. Let's go live to Francis D'Souza.
This is incredible.
Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it?
I guess I shouldn't really be walking around with a glass of wine.
No, you shouldn't be. You should be putting it there and picking it up on your way up.
Hello.
Am I being bossy again?
Hello. You're allowed to be bossy. You're the mayor.
Yes.
Hello?
It's your job now.
You're the mayor.
I'm the mayor.
Okay. Wait for the music.
This campaign has cost him nearly a year of his life.
It's unbelievable.
But for David Miller, victory is very sweet.
Tonight, the
how important is it for you to kind of resolve the issue of the island airport? It was really the centerpiece of the campaign, and it symbolizes a lot, so it must be very important to you.
It's very important. It's the right thing to do for the future of the city, and politically it's important to me because it's my mandate. I mean, I was elected by the people of Toronto to stop this, and my promise was to do everything in my power, and I'm going to. Which includes, I think Canada put in the campaign, people said, how did Mal get his way on this issue at council? And I said he used threats, intimidation, and bribery. Those tools are available to me as well.
Is it okay?
No.
What's wrong?
Diana Dimmer's fine. They said we can live with the whereases, but this makes them really nervous. Can you just take that? Can you live with that coming out?
No.
It has to be in there, Bruce. It's my election promise. I can't not have it.
How come they said no to me and yes to you?
I'm the mayor. Sure. Do you want me to say hello or not? Okay. Hello. I'm David Miller. I'm running for mayor of Toronto.
But maybe a little bit bigger energy on it.
Okay. I'm David Miller. I'm running for mayor of Toronto.
I still think that you should be going from friendly into more forceful, but not me.
I'm David Miller. I'm running for mayor of Toronto.
I feel pretty good about that.